Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Unskilled Travel Show. I'm Jeremy Long, the Full Metal Traveler. Thank you so much for joining us. We're coming to you from the Diamondback Land Surveying Studios in beautiful Las Vegas, Nevada. I'm here with my co-explorer, as always, Amy Long.
Hi.
And we have a really fun show for you, something we've never really talked about, even though it's a place that's about 2 hours away from Las Vegas. You know, I feel a little bit ashamed that we have lived in Las Vegas for a decade and we have never talked about Death Valley.
We've talked about going to Death Valley a lot.
We've talked about that. But we've never actually gone until recently. And, you know, we come away with, I came away with a brand new respect for Death Valley National Park, everything it has to offer travelers and, explorers like ourselves.
Yeah.
And some fun stories. And we're going to get to it all, a little bit of, what the park is about, what you should realize before you go, a little know before you go. And if you have a few hours in the park, what you should do, and even a couple of things you can skip, but absolutely one thing you should never miss when you go. So, Amy, looking at the park itself, before we even went, what was your thoughts on Death Valley? I mean, and why did it take us 10 years to get out there?
The thing I love about our national parks in the U.S. is that they're all so different. I mean, some of them, like some of the ones in Utah are similar, but they have unique things. I really didn't have a concept of what Death Valley would be like other than a few pictures I had seen. And I think most people have seen those pictures where the ground's all kind of cracked looking and it's just this dry, flat surface. So that's all I kind of really thought. Other than that, I didn't know. I knew they had some sand dunes there, but I really didn't put too much thought into what we were going to see. Going out there, driving through it, it's such a unique place. I mean, even you said some of the things we saw seemed otherworldly. It didn't feel like we were still on Earth.
Yeah.
I thought I was in a sci-fi movie at one point.
That's the amazing part, right? I mean, we can talk all the pretty words we want, but until you see pictures of it, I mean, it goes against conventional wisdom. You think you're looking at a otherworldly planet and not places here on Earth, much less the same national park.
Yeah.
And we found ourselves face to face with so many different landscapes.
Yeah. It was,
carved over millions of years through wind and rain erosion and everything else. And the fact that they're almost butting up against each other and you're like, these are the same places? I mean, they're 5 minutes from each other.
Yeah.
And still you're like, wow, I can't believe it looks like this.
Yeah. I mean, we were just before we really get into these, but we were down at Badwater Basin, which is almost 300 feet below sea level.
Yep.
And then we drove up to Dante's View, which is like 5,000 feet elevation to look down on it. And it's just such a vast, just driving up the mountain, just such a vast difference in, it was very kind of chilly up there at the view area. There was some bushes and flowers, but then down below it is literally a dried up riverbed that has left salt residue. So it's like, how are these both the same place? You can't really wrap your head around it.
Right. So, I mean, I guess the best thing is to kind of go back to the beginning and where it is, especially for our friends that are outside of the United States. You've probably heard of Death Valley. Death Valley sits, if you look at Las Vegas where we record our shows, Death Valley sits, northwest of Las Vegas, about 2 hours, almost to the minute from the heart of Vegas.
Just over the border from Nevada into California.
It rides the border between Nevada and California, but it sits all in California, that side. So they get that claim to fame there with the national park. But coming from the Las Vegas side, coming from the Nevada side, it is a really simple drive to get there. Mm-hmm. And in fact, if you do come to Las Vegas, they have tons of tours and things like that that will take you out to Vegas and bring you back. That's an important part, bring you back, not just leave you out there. The crazy thing is that the Death Valley National Monument was actually established in 1933.
Oh, wow.
Okay. So it goes back and you're like, well, yeah, of course. I mean, it sounds like an old park, right? The national park designation didn't happen for Death Valley until 1994.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So it's fairly new, like in the last 30 years or so. In fact, it would be 30 years, right?
Yeah, 94. Mm-hmm.
So 30 years ago, Death Valley National Park was the designation. And you're talking about 3.4 million acres, with 93% of that is complete wilderness.
Yeah.
There's a very small portion that they do have campgrounds. You can't go camping overnight there. There's a visitor center. There are surprisingly a good amount
hiking
of
trails.
Hiking trails and bathrooms,
Yeah.
even that you can go onto. But that vast part of it is wilderness.
It's mountains.
It's mountains and the salt beds where the ancient rivers and stuff like that used to flow. But you look at it and you're just kind of like, I can't believe this is all one park, because it spans miles and miles and miles.
Yeah, I mean, we drove in and decided we were going to go kind of to the top part first and then drive back down. And just the difference from where you arrive in at to where the dunes are, it was like you don't realize you are driving. I mean, obviously you're in the desert, but you don't realize that you are driving to what looks like you're in the Middle East with these giant sand dunes and these like huge old driftwood type trees. Like, I mean, I took tons of pictures. I loved it. I loved the trees.
Yeah, you did.
They were really neat, but it just, I don't know. I can't even explain that, because you don't know it. You know the sand dunes are up there, but you don't really know what you're going to see when you get there. And all these people are climbing over the sand dunes, but it was a really neat thing to see.
And that's an interesting point you bring, because there are small parts that are sand dunes, the Great Sand Dunes and things of this nature. But there's the mountains and there's the flatbeds, Badwater Basin, and buttes, and so many things in between. It is this wonderful tapestry of, it's not just flatlands and whatever.
Yeah.
It is, I mean, especially if you have consecutive winters and springs like we have had recently, where you have more rain than usual, it's surprisingly green. There's lots of flowers.
Right.
And there's standing water in places like Lake Manly. Lake Manly is the lake we saw that only pops up every few years when it has enough water to actually support and stay above ground and not get sucked down into the dry desert basin.
I mean, and it's not a deep lake. I mean, people were walking out there. The water didn't even go to their knees. But it's still, you don't expect this in the middle of the desert to see. We were looking at it, and I didn't realize we were looking at water. I was like, why is the ground green over there? And you're like, well, what color is water? Well, water's not usually green, but when we get closer, it's water amongst all the salt on the ground. It was really neat to see that.
The highest recorded temperature in the world was recorded in Death Valley's Furnace Creek, which is where the visitor center is, at 134 degrees Fahrenheit. In July 1913, this place became famous for mining operations for borax, and so you think salt, right? You think of all that, but borax was the popular mining mineral out there. Lots of facilities, now ruins that came from early parts of the 20th century in that area, and also it's of course the driest place in the United States. In 1929, there was not a single drop of rain recorded in Death Valley. So, and like you mentioned earlier, Badwater Basin, the lowest point in North America at negative 282 feet below sea level. So very interesting place. We're going to have more. What you should hit, what you should miss, all of that. Unscaled Travel Show will be right back.
Unscaled Travel Show is brought to you by Diamondback Land Surveying. For all your land surveying needs, contact Diamondback Land Surveying at 702-823-DBLS.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Unscaled Travel Show. I'm Jeremy Long, the Full Metal Traveler, coming to you from the Diamondback Land Surveying Studios in beautiful Las Vegas, Nevada. Here with my co-explorer, Amy Long.
Hi.
We're talking about Death Valley National Park, all the wonderfulness of it, the just tapestries of Mother Nature and all of her glory. I'm trying to get that right in my head. Some know before you go, and of course, if you have a few hours in the park, we're going to get to that in a little bit, what you should hit, things you can skip, in our opinion, and at least one thing you should never skip whenever you go to Death Valley. So we want you to stick around for that. But a little bit, we'll give you a little bit of the history of Death Valley, created as a national monument first in 1933, didn't get the national park designation until 94. And, you know, that's kind of given about 30 years of national park history, but there are some services out there that are lacking. We found out. One of those things is gas.
Yeah. I mean, we only saw one gas station. I think probably we didn't drive the whole park. I think on the other side, because there's an east and a west, there's probably another one or two over there. Mm-hmm. But if you are going in through Armagosa Valley, which is up from Las Vegas over to Death Valley, there's really only one gas station that we saw once we get into the park. Yeah. And gas was very expensive.
Gas is expensive everywhere, but in Death Valley, it comes at a premium.
Yes, because they know they got you.
They got you. They're like, where are you going to go? There's even a sign. Next service is 57 miles, one of those signs. Yeah. So you're kind of like, well, do I take the chance and save a couple of bucks, or do I just pony up and just, you know, count it off as we're having a good time in the national park? We saw some rocks. We saw a Badwater Basin. There was a lizard. So we're like actually up $300, $400. So the entrance fee also. Yeah. Go driving it, at least on the side where you come in from Nevada, the Las Vegas side, there is not an entrance gate. Right. There's a sign. There's the Death Valley National Park sign designation. But there's not a traditional gate like you would find at Yellowstone or Yosemite or things like that.
Grand Canyon.
It's almost an honor system.
It is.
There's almost an honor system involved because they have machines where you go and you get a paper tag for your window where you're supposed to display it. And it is $30.
Per car.
Per car.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter how many people are in your car. If you have a larger vehicle, it's $30.
Yeah, I think if you have an RV or something larger, like a recreational vehicle, the price is a little different. But per like average vehicle, it's $30, or it said $15 a person if you want to pay. Yeah, like if you're just coming in by yourself.
But I do believe if you have or get the America the Beautiful Pass,
yes,
which we are passionate about telling people about the America the Beautiful Pass. It's only $80 for a year, and it gets you into all of the national parks, a lot of the national forests and monuments and things like that, free of charge. Mm-hmm. It even gets you in places like Red Rock Canyon or Red Rock Valley here, Canyon here, right outside of Las Vegas for free, things of that nature. It's only that one price, so I definitely recommend it because $30
for one
is almost 50% of 80. Yeah. That's math. I learned that.
I'm proud of you.
Yes, I know. I grew up in Texas. That's 80.
Well, so it is the honor system, but I did go into the visitor center, and there was a sign outside that said if you needed a map or you needed anything from the information desk, you had to present either your ticket or your America the Beautiful Pass. They would not talk to you without that.
Oh, they wouldn't even talk to you.
Well, I mean, as soon as I walked up, the lady asked me, "Where's your pass?" And I gave her our receipt, and she looked at it, and then she said, "You need to tape this in your window," because it wasn't taped; it was loose. Right. So she put tape on it for us.
Oh, they give you tape too.
The store was right there; they didn't ask for anything, so you could go into the store. And there's also a museum on the side, and I didn't see anyone checking passes there.
And that's at Furnace.
That was at the Furnace Creek Visitor Center, which is kind of right in the center of the whole park.
Now, for unique stays around the park in different designated areas, they do allow overnight camping. If you have an RV, there's different RV parks. Mm-hmm. You know, it's not just wild camping. You can't just walk off into the desert and do whatever. They do have designated spots. But if you don't like sleeping on the ground,
Me.
Like, I know you. You don't want to sleep on the ground.
No.
And you're not even really an RV fan. For that...
I'll do it. I grew up doing that. I prefer not to.
A pop-up camper full of spiders.
I did.
You don't want to do that.
Yes.
If you don't want to do that, then there are actually two places to sleep, two different inns.
Yeah. So they're both say the Oasis at Death Valley, but one is called the Inn at Death Valley and the other is the Ranch at Death Valley. The Inn is actually a historic building. And it says it's first-class resort accommodations. We drove by it. It did look very nice. Yeah. I would love to have gone in. And then the ranch we drove by also, it looked really neat. It said there was a sign that said Town Hall. It kind of looked like an old,
Town Hall?
No, I was going to say like an old kind of like Main Street in a town.
Yeah.
But it said it's more like a motel type of accommodation.
You always also, when dealing with any national parks, when you're talking about places to stay or sites to see or whatever, you want to visit online first.
Yeah.
And if you're still unsure, you want to give the rangers a call at the stations. That's what they're there for. And they're happy to answer any questions. Just a few weeks ago with the rains, the onslaught of rains that area had, when we were talking about Lake Manly, which only appears when there is rain, and it has to be a significant amount of rain. A few weeks ago, you could actually bring boats out there.
Yeah.
People were bringing boats out.
I saw pictures of people out there kayaking and canoeing.
There were flat-bottom kayaks and canoes and things of that nature. But if you go online, they're like, the water's receded so much in just a couple of weeks that people are walking around in it, but there's no place for a boat, no place for a kayak or anything like that.
Well, and you do always need to check their website because the first thing when I went to it listed alerts of areas that were closed due to flood damage. Because this area does not get a lot of water, when it does, it can cause some damage. So there are other smaller visitor centers around. One of them was closed. You couldn't go into it. It had a museum. And the road up to it, I think, was closed at a portion because the flood damage had messed up the road. You couldn't drive over to that museum. Okay.
And also, people may be wondering offhand, like, okay, you obviously don't want to visit in the middle of the day. You want to visit, but it's more perilous, right? Temperatures regularly reach up to 120 degrees, so it's very, very hot. It's very dangerous sometimes, especially with pets and animals. But the best month, they actually say, is February. The average temperature is 72 degrees with an average low of about 46.
Wow.
So it actually is pretty balmy and, very nice. Very nice, I should say. Very nice, not balmy.
Yeah, not balmy.
Very nice in February. I don't know the meaning of words like balmy. And you can bring your pet. We'll get more into that when we come back. Keep it right here. It's the Unscaled Travel Show. We're talking Death Valley.
Unscaled Travel Show is brought to you by Diamondback Land Surveying. For all your land surveying needs, contact Diamondback Land Surveying at 702-823-DBLS.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Unscaled Travel Show. I'm Jeremy Long, the Full Metal Traveler. For all of our past episodes and interviews, check us out, fullmetaltraveler.com. If you want to follow us online, Instagram, all the same, Full Metal Traveler. Check us out. We appreciate it. We appreciate all you guys that write in, ask us questions about travel, ask us questions about our episodes, ask me questions like, dude, why you make so many dad jokes? And I'm like, bruh. Whatever, your mom. And, we're talking about Death Valley. Okay. But now I'm giggling. I started to.
I can't even, I have no comments.
Your mom. I'm going to bring that back. When you got nothing else.
Please don't.
When you got nothing else, you just come back with your mom.
Let's talk about Death Valley.
We're talking about Death Valley. And, we gave some insight about the formation of Death Valley as far as a national park, a little bit of know before you go, like the entrance fees and where can you expect fuel and places to stay. Now we want to talk to you about if you have just a few hours in the park. Most people, by far, most visitors to the park don't stay overnight. They're only there for a few hours. Mm-hmm. So whether you have just a couple of hours or maybe a fuller day, we kind of want to give you our itinerary.
Right.
And you can see a good bit of the southern part, which in my own opinion is the most interesting part of the park.
Yeah, it really is.
It really kind of is. The rest of it is beautiful wilderness. You're going to see some wonderful things. There's opportunities to see tortoises and bighorn sheep and things like that roam in the area.
Maybe more on the east side.
Maybe
we didn't
so.
see we didn't see any of that on the west side.
Yeah, I mean, and you have to find the right temperatures and months and everything else for these animals to be around. So if you want to just see the natural beauty of the park, we do have some suggestions, and you can form your own itinerary for when you go. So going there.
Right.
Looking at you, Amy, my co-explorer here who loves to wander off into the desert by herself with no water.
Not by myself. You're with me.
And I'm there. I'm just a witness to it all. So what would you first suggest that they hit? What's something they need to do?
Well, before I say that, I went to the National Park Service website. Mm-hmm. It's nps.gov and looked at Death Valley. And on their website, if you go to sightseeing, it gives you suggestions. If you're in the park for 1 to 3 hours, this is what the National Park Service says. Do not miss. And then it's if you're there for 3 to 6 hours, here's some other things. If you're doing an extended stay, so you can kind of build on each suggestion. So that was kind of where we started. We looked at the 1 to 3 hours, and we did all those things. And then we looked at we decided to stay a little bit longer and looked at the other things, and we ended up doing everything in the half-day visit along with a few other things. So I think you can actually cover a good chunk of the park in one day if you plan on being there 10 hours or so.
Right.
So
we kind of started at the bottom. Like
we did.
We went to the visitor center first to kind of get our bearings.
Yeah.
To get a map. Also, we love souvenirs, so we got a couple of stickers and a magnet and a pin and things like that. So that's where we started, but you can start wherever. But what would you suggest?
So I would suggest if you're only going to be there a couple of hours, mainly staying in that southeast part of it. So when you come in from Armagosa Valley, you immediately pass the Death Valley sign. We did not get a picture of it. There were so many people standing there, we couldn't even park in the parking lot.
Right.
But past that is a really cool spot. It's called Zabriskie Point. And you park and then you kind of walk up a trail to this overlook. But I had no idea what everybody was looking at, but it was really neat. There's such cool erosion below you that it makes these kind of waves in the rocks. It was really neat to look at. So definitely you have to stop by Zabriskie Point.
And these rocks and the foothills there, I mean, you're talking mustard yellow mixed in with green, where different minerals have kind of oxidized, mixed in with these just rolling hills that give way to in the background the like Badwater Basin kind of flatlands, and so you kind of get all of this in this view, and secretly it may be one of the better points to catch a sunset.
Yeah, absolutely. Because
I mean, obviously the sunset's in the west; it's going to hit the mountains behind the national park that's on the west side of the park. But in my point of view, I mean, I think it's probably one of the better places to kind of stop if you want to look at the stars or catch the sunset.
Absolutely. We drove by it the first time and said, we'll catch it on the way out. Yeah. It really was one of the best parts of the whole park, one of our best stops.
I think so, yeah.
So from there, I would probably go up to the visitor center, Furnace Creek. It's not very far. It's only a few miles up the road. And then if you're short on time, then you go down. And so instead of going down by Zabriskie, you go down toward the Badland Basin, because you have to see you can't go to Death Valley and not see the Badwater Basin.
Yeah.
But on the way there is something that was not on the website. It did not say to stop and do this. You just saw it on the map and you're like, oh, this says it's Devil's Golf Course. And we're like, what is the Devil's Golf Course?
That's probably the best name for anything.
That was,
Devil's Golf
to me,
Course.
that was the best part of the whole park. Everything we saw was the Devil's Golf Course. That's where the water was. That's where these really cool salt formations were on the ground. Mm-hmm. And it was just such a unique thing to see. Like I took so many pictures. I couldn't even really wrap my head around what it was I was seeing.
Yeah.
So I feel like you have to stop at Devil's Golf Course on the way down to Badwater.
Right. So like when there's rainfall and things of this nature, the minerals, the salt, and which later crystallizes, and the borates and everything crystallize to borax, which they used to mine in this area. Now they don't do it, but it forms these like little dome hills, which if you go on the website and look under our this episode, you can see the pictures, some of the pictures that we took, a little bit of the video maybe, if I get around to posting it, of just this, I mean, endless like field almost of these little salt hills or something like that.
Where the water was, it almost looked like little mini glaciers sticking out of the water.
I mean, and it's so beautiful, and they're covered in white, and you think it's salt, but it's not like salt. Don't be licking. It's not
table salt.
Don't be licking the. No. Number one, don't lick anything at a national park anyway. But like, definitely don't lick these. But if you're lucky enough to go be there when the water is around Devil's Golf Course, it makes it even better.
Yeah, it was so cool, and there were so many people standing out in the water. Again, it wasn't deep. It was maybe calf. Maybe to their calves. Yeah. But you were telling me you saw a sign that said if you get in the water, you need to rinse off immediately because there's so much.
Because there's so much like salt and minerals and everything else in there. It's going to dry your skin out and all that. And another guy who was there with us when we were out there, not with us, but he was by us when we were eavesdropping, obviously, on his conversation. But he was like, oh, I got a cut on my foot. I don't want to do. And he stepped in and immediately was like, oh, wow, salt in a wound hurts, right? So I'm like, okay, genius.
Yeah.
But that is it's a beautiful spot to hit. And right down from there is the actual Badwater Basin, which is the lowest point in North America at negative 282 feet below sea level, which is also, I mean, a beautiful spot to go.
It was. I mean, and I think because we have had water, it didn't have that like cracked ground effect that you see in so many photos, but it was still really neat. I mean, you basically are walking out into the desert and it is just covered in white. Yeah. And everybody's just standing there taking pictures. It's not the most beautiful photos because you don't really understand what the white is in comparison to the mountain behind it, but it's really neat to see it. And then when you leave there, what we did is circle back around past Zabriskie's Point and go up to Dante's View. So you're looking down over the Badwater Basin. That's how we ended our day. And it was really cool to kind of look down on where we had just been.
But in between that, there were a couple of spots that we hit that maybe you can skip. And I hate saying that, but we'll give you our list and we'll give you the can't miss. It's the Unscaled Travel Show.
Unscaled Travel Show is brought to you by Diamondback Land Surveying. For all your land surveying needs, contact Diamondback Land Surveying at 702-823-DBLS.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Unscaled Travel Show. I'm Jeremy Long, the Full Metal Traveler. We're coming to you from the Diamondback Land Surveying Studios in beautiful Las Vegas, Nevada. I'm here with my co-explorer and salt lover, Amy Long.
I think I prefer pepper, though.
Oh, controversy. We're talking about Death Valley National Park. All the fun and beauty you can have there. One of those national parks that I think is underappreciated. Even though it gets a lot of visitors every single year, but I think most people, they hear Death Valley, they think it's just flat, sandy desert area. You're missing out on the beautiful mountains and history and everything else behind it. So we kind of went through the formation of the park, know before you go. And we're talking about if you only have a few hours in the park itself, because most visitors don't stay overnight, even though you can. They have a couple of inns. There are campgrounds. But if you only have a couple of hours in the park, some things that you should definitely hit. And we're kind of in that vein now. So we were just talking about the Devil's Golf Course, Zabriskie Point, and of course Badwater Basin, which is the lowest point in North America at negative 282 feet below sea level, which is all very cool to hit in this same area, which you can kind of hit all of these things in a relatively short amount of time. There are a few other things. There is like the Golden Canyon Trailhead, which leads off into a canyon that we didn't do, but it's a very popular trail.
There were a ton of cars parked
there.
There were
a ton of cars. I mean, cars parking up and down the street, which is kind of fun to see. But also there is something called the Artist's Palette.
Yeah, so the Artist's Palette was one of the things on the National Park Service website that is like, this is a must-see. We drove over there. It's kind of a one-way drive through some of the I don't know if you would call them mountains, hills, whatever, buttes. That's a good word. It's called the Artist's Palette because there's so many different minerals in the ground that the different sections of it are different colors. There's green and pinks and reds and oranges. But it was kind of the middle of the day. It was a bit dusty, so everything seemed very, very muted to us. You had read that, it's most vibrant after it has rained. We hadn't had any rain in a couple of days around here, but we did get out and do a little hike off of the Artist Palette Drive, which I personally felt probably was not worth the hike to get up to the top of this little overlook, but we did it.
You let us know. You let the people around us know. You were like, as soon as you got to the top, you were like, not worth it. Our dog looked at you. He was like, yeah, I agree. Not worth it. I tend to agree with you here. Out of all the beautiful spots that we saw, this was kind of one, and it's not, I think it's just kind of a path that people made.
Yeah.
Because you can climb up to this hill. It's a relatively easy hike up to the top of this hill, and you get to see what you see, but it's not more beautiful. Actually, I like just the drive through.
Yeah.
And it's a one-way street, so you got to go in one way and come out the other. And it zigzags kind of through these hills until you get to the Artist Palette, which you could pull off. It's a little side street and it's right up the road. But after it rains, and again, this is one of the driest places in North America. It doesn't rain too often, so you really have to time it well if you want to go there and get it right after the rain, so it's very vibrant.
Yeah.
But it's minerals like aluminum and magnesium and titanium and all these different elements that kind of give off these different colors after all these millions of years of oxidation and everything else that give it this beautiful hue. But you can also catch the same thing if you just drive through the winding street and just take your time and don't speed through it. I mean, and some of the turns are kind of very close to the walls and everything.
So if you're pulling an RV,
exciting.
There are a lot of signs on some of these roads saying an RV like longer than 25 feet you can't take
you can't
on these because it's so narrow and so windy you wouldn't make it. So just keep in mind if you are RVing, you may want to park it at the campground and then just drive your regular car through some of these drives.
But, I think the fun thing about Death Valley is it's also one of these national parks where it is encouraged to stay on the designated paths, but it's not against the rules to just park your car on the side of the road and kind of venture off, which we did at a couple of different stops, which I like. I like in national parks like that where you get to do it. Some of them, it's very much like you don't go do this, don't go do that. But this is one of them that you can. And you did, and you took me and our dog for a little adventure.
Well, so we did not hit Badwater Basin first, and I didn't know exactly where we were going to see these salt flats at. So we were driving back. We had gone up to the sand dunes, and we were driving back down, and looking out, you can see salt flats. They're off the road a bit, but it's like it doesn't seem that far. The desert is deceptive that way, where things don't seem that far. and then you start
kinda
walking.
like Vegas.
It's kind of like Vegas. And then half a mile later, you're still walking.
Yeah.
But we pulled over. We saw other people pulled over behind us. So we pulled over and we started walking. And the ground is crunchy from all the salt.
Yeah.
And it's dry. And even you notice, like, you kind of sink in a little bit because it is so crunchy. It just sort of crumbles underneath.
I never felt
feet.
so good about my weight when the ground started giving out underneath me. Yes.
But it was really neat. I mean, you got some awesome pictures of where little canyons had formed from the water going from the road down to where I guess the old riverbed used to be.
Yeah.
But I did walk down there. In places, it was still a tad bit muddy. I did slip. And,
you slipped, and you were maybe a fourth of a mile away from me, I would say. And I very clearly heard some curse words that echoed off the canyon wall. And I was like, and the dog wouldn't go with you. You let him off the leash, and he was just like, I'm done.
By that point, yeah, he was done walking.
He was looking at me like, what is this chick's problem? And you were cursing at the salt.
I was not cursing at the salt. I was cursing at the mud because I slipped. And thankfully, I was wearing shoes that I don't love. So they got muddy. I ended up having to wipe the mud off on the side of the road. But I slipped a few times.
Funny. Yeah.
A few times in the mud. So I did think, and it gets to where the mud kind of is like a suction. And it was like grabbing onto my shoes. So then I had to like turn around and go back. But it's like, do I walk in the same places where I already know
it was making
it's
those
muddy,
nice,
or do I go a different route and it maybe is more muddy?
Those nice mud sounds. I'm sure you.
And
love
you
that.
just turn around at that point and walk back to the car. You're like, she'll figure it out.
I just turned around.
She'll make her way back.
You belong to the desert now, and I just left you there. So don't come out with me if you want to survive, because I'll leave you. But there's also like a lot of fun things. If you're into history, there are historical spots you can. It just totally depends on if you're into like history. There's the old stovepipe
well, yeah,
which used to be the only water source around there that people, miners, and everything else used to stop. It's like shut down now, and there's like the old like ruins of the borax mining companies that used to, of course, be out there every day mining borax and everything. Those are skip or hit depending on your love of it. There's also cool ghost towns. There's a number of ghost towns, old mining facilities that are inside the national park. But then there's our favorite one, Rhyolite, Nevada, which sits just outside of the park, which I definitely think you should hit. It's definitely on my list of like, hit this one and everything. So if you have the time, make your way over to Rhyolite and Beatty, Nevada for a little bit of fun ghost town history. So we promised people in our last minute the can't miss thing. If you go there, what are the can't miss one or two things they have to do?
To me, it is Devil's Golf Course and Badwater Basin. They're right next to each other. It's a quick hop from one to the other. You have to do it. You can't go and not see Badwater Basin.
I like it. I like the golf course, Devil's Golf Course and Badwater Basin. And I would even say if you get there at the right time, either early morning or in the evening when the sun's at, golden hour, if you're there to take photos or you're a travel influencer or you have 20 followers and you just like to be annoying. So you want to go and maybe hit the sand dunes as well, because if you go at the right time, those areas can give off this pinkish hue that you probably have seen on Instagram or, any of these sites like that. If you are of that nature, please do that.
And again, do it at the end of the day. We did see the most beautiful red sunset driving out of the park, and it would have been in the direction of the sand dunes. So I wish we would have hit those last instead of doing that first when we got there.
We went to Dante's View for the sunset. We regret it. No, I'm just kidding. It was beautiful. We love it. We hope you had fun. Death Valley National Park Unscaled Travel Show. We'll see you guys next time.